wildfire. So if you had to guess which one, this one here is showing us how even after having a large wildfire, we still have seasonal dynamics, but over time, we're watching those seasonal dynamics return to normal. So it's time series of time series. We can also do characterization through fusion, and that may mean bringing together different satellites or different sources of the same data type. So we have an example here of bringing together different optical sources. It may mean that we're bringing together different modalities, so maybe an active sensor and a passive sensor, in this case to measure something like basal area height. Or we can even go extra fancy and look at something like this data set from G-Light, which has optical, thermal, and LiDAR all on the same platform, measuring the same things simultaneously. So we talked about applications in agriculture, and I bring that up again because it's really critical if we want to make our research and our methods valuable to people and make a difference in the world, really, with them. We have to think about who we're building this for, whose problems are we trying to solve, and what needs do they have. So oftentimes in agricultural remote sensing, that could be a government entity, it might be an NGO or a nonprofit, it may be the individual farmers themselves, but it could also be people like journalists who are trying to talk about and grow awareness of things like famine or early warning of crop failure. And then academics as well. People learn from each other, and the way in which they're going to learn that information is different. So it's important that we think about a few things. We need to think about when do people need that information? At what scale is the information relevant to them? So for example, if you're a farmer, you probably care about something at the leaf scale. Is there a fungus or a pathogen that's suddenly shown up in one of my crops? If you are a government of an entire country, the leaf scale not mean anything to you. It's not going to be helpful. What you care about are groups of fields. You care about regional patterns. And so this is very important when you're thinking about which methods and which sensors and platforms will actually be useful. You also need to think about where that information happens, and maybe more importantly, how it's going to get to the person who's going to use it. They're not going to read your paper. They're not going to find and replicate the amazing machine learning model that you built. It has to be somewhere that they're actually able to really quickly get that information and use it. And so there's an entire system of operationalizing your research for anyone to find the value in it. When we're thinking about those platforms and how we're actually collecting the data, we pull those things like timing, format, and scale requirements into really asking ourselves which sensors, platforms, and acquisition parameters are really feasible for solving a particular problem or gaining information for a particular need. The easiest way to think about scale here is really where it's being collected from. So oftentimes we don't talk about it, but your cell phone's a remote sensing instrument. Your GoPro is a remote sensing instrument. You can also have all of these different sensors that are specialized, that are mounted on towers. Maybe you have an entire network of these set up in different agricultural fields to measure different things that are helping you to model and estimate some of the things you care about. We have airborne sensors, so these could be a really small, lightweight drone all the way up to a manned aircraft. And we have space-based sensors, so those that are on a satellite, bus, or platform. I'm going to skip the next few slides, but happy to answer questions about kind of what the data looks like at any of these individual scales, if anyone's interested after. The key thing here is that when you're making these measurements at different spatial scales, they aren't apples to apples comparison. You can't just take a handheld measurement and compare it one-to-one with a satellite pixel. And so it's very important to understand how each of these instruments and platforms is collecting the data and how you can use that to cross-scale analysis. So I work at a company. I started in academia, I did a postdoc, and I actually currently hold an adjunct in industry position. So this is basically saying I'm faculty at a university, but I come as someone who's working in industry. And so part of my job as a faculty member is to help students understand how amazingly diverse the remote sensing landscape is when it comes to companies. And this is a really amazing infographic that's already a year out of date by a group called TerraWatch Space. They have a fabulous, fabulous monthly newsletter that I recommend that you subscribe to on LinkedIn. It's free and it's really great. But my point is that we typically think about remote sensing missions as just being public missions that are coming from national space agencies. And I think that this infographic shows that, that's just not the case. There is a lot of technology and a lot of data out there that is being developed, pioneered, and driven by commercial companies. There's also the fact that when you're working at a commercial company, the challenges I'm describing to you are the everyday challenges. You need to derive some kind of value for your customers. You need to be solving some problem for them. And sometimes you can do that by just acquiring data, but usually you need to do some sort of fusion. You need to pull in some sort of other information that adds context and meaning to the satellite data itself. You need processing, and this is everything from getting the data down from the satellites to pulling it together in a way that that particular customer can easily and quickly get to it and make sense of it. And a lot of users aren't going to be remote sensing or machine learning scientists. They're not going to have the background that you have, and they just need the information that comes out of the entire system. And so a lot of these companies are really trying to figure this out still. This is still a major challenge within commercial remote sensing space, which is how do you take all of the amazing research and science that's happening, use the latest and greatest technologies, and actually pull out the information and make it available to a customer. So this is kind of a different look at how some of those companies have broken down into these different verticals for providing information. So like I said, some just provide data. Some of them also provide a platform, which is the way in which you can easily search and access and find the data. Some of them provide the analytics as a surface. They say, hey, my company will process all this data for you and create all of these really great derived data layers. Some companies say, we're going to go a step further. We'll get your insights out. You tell us what you want to know. You don't even worry about the satellite data. You don't worry about how to process it or access it. You don't worry about how to make derived products. You just tell me what information you want, and I will do all of it and package it up for you. And then you've got the group at the very end there, which are really not remote sensing companies at all. They're other companies that just happen to pull in Earth observation data as part of how they solve a specific problem. And so that might be in agriculture, it might be in the insurance sector, but these are groups of companies that are focused on a specific vertical or a specific set of problems. And I think if you're someone who is thinking about going into industry and your background is in machine learning, it's in remote sensing, usually we focus here. Sometimes we focus here. But there is a really, really strong need to have people with our expertise in these software as a service application areas. It's almost always better to start with the problem and then realize you have the right tools for it than to start with a tool set looking for a problem. So I'm going to sum up there. Remote sensing continues to rapidly evolve. We continue to see innovation, value, the ability to deal with data volume, the ability to process things efficiently increasing. Cost and develop time is going down, required expertise is going down. And I think most importantly, we're getting better at understanding what problems are we really trying to solve by continuing to advance these technologies. And we're doing a better job thinking about those applications up front as we continue to advance our science. So I would close with saying, maybe right now remote sensing overpromises and underdelivers, but it's our job as a group of technical professionals to find the right promises and the right way to deliver. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Keeley, for your insightful presentation. The next.
Now, it is my pleasure to introduce a panel discussion on work-life balance and mental health. The discussion will be moderated by Dr. Shubhangini Das, an assistant professor at KL University, Hyderabad, with over 15 years of experience in academia. Dr. Das has a strong dedication to teaching and research, having previously served as an assistant professor at Silicon Institute of Technology and completed her research tenure at Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. Joining her on the panel are esteemed experts Dr. Keely Roth from Planet Labs, Dr. Shobha Periswamy from Anna University, Ms. Rahisha Totoli from IIT Hyderabad, and Dr. Fairoz Tambolini from DLR Germany. I invite Dr. Subhangini Das and the panelists to the stage for what promises to be an insightful discussion.
I request our moderator to kindly have their place. मैं जी मैं इनवाइट कर लूँगा आपको इनवाइट कर दिया मैंने I invite I request our panelists as well to please join our moderator Shubhrangni ma'am onto the stage. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's panel discussion on an increasingly important topic that is work-life balance and mental health. This is just not a trendy phase, it is a real challenge for every professional. So I'm Dr. Subhrangini Das from this Scale University, Hyderabad, thrilled to moderate this panel discussion with distinguished panelists who are one of their kind in their life. Today, we aim to unpack the balance between professional ambitions and personal well-being. We hope that since we know that the personal and professional ambitions always extends classrooms and office walls. So these panelists have given their gracious time, offered their time to motivate us to reflect and to have to learn new things, how to handle work-life balance with mental health. Thank you, Kelly, Shobha, Feroz and Tripura, ma'am, for joining us today. To start, let's begin with Rahisa. As all of you already know, the panelists will directly start with the questionnaires. As you are a researcher, along with research work, you are seen very much active in IEEE Regional Chapter Coordinator. So we would like to know, will you like to share, we would like to hear from you, what challenges that you encounter to maintain your personal and professional life?
Hi. Actually, I'm not up to the level. But the question is relevant. Like everyone will have a personal life and a professional life. So I will tell my story. What are the things I am doing for balancing both. So for me, I enjoy whatever I do, even if it is a research, GRSS activity. I don't feel it is a something like what I feel, want to say that whatever you are doing, you please enjoy and do. If you are not able to enjoy, work, then just stop doing that. Okay. So for me, I have two kids. That when I think about my personal life, I enjoy spending time with my kids. I don't feel that it's worth doing. As a mom, I should spend good quality time with my kids. So I feel that that is a once I'm back from my college or back from my lab, I completely dedicate my life to my family. In between, I don't want to interact because I don't want to be in a moderate level. Whatever I am doing, it should be in the perfect level. Because if you are taking a lot of things in a profession, like I can do this, no. You understand your capability and take only those responsibility. Then be good in that. Okay. Even in case of a research, a lot of research activities will be there. But we cannot be expert in all the levels, right? Like SAR imagery is an agriculture field, many people will be doing it, but I don't want to work with all the things. Whatever research I am doing, it should be, I don't feel that it is a kind of some pressure. If I'm reading some research article which is relevant to my paper or my work, I keep enjoying it. I don't feel that it is some kind of, that is how I'm balancing it. Like I'm spending equal amount of time for my family and for my research life. So I don't feel any pressure on this. So very easy to manage as well. Thank you so much. I think I have answered it. Is that? Yeah.
But you are still active, very much active in IEEE activities. So that is good. If you think work as a part of our family, then definitely we can succeed in balancing both personal and professional life. But it has been found in many professionals, it is challenging to maintain work-life balance, especially in high-demand roles. I would like to know from Sova that how you handle multiple roles, working as assistant professor, assistant director at CIR, at an university, and editor at IJRS, and many more things you are handling at a time. So I would like to know, according to you, what challenges people face and how do these challenges impact mental health?
Um, Very good afternoon. So, as you rightly said, I am actually engaged with several responsibilities. You left two. I'm a responsible mother and responsible wife. So actually, at times I feel frustrated, I couldn't able to do like. Sometimes no, you cannot able to do the work you actually love because of the overload, high pressure. So I thought of having a clear mental plan before every day I wake up. I have to have a proper mental plan. So I started prioritizing the work actually. And also I make them make others understand what is their roles and responsibilities, even with family. I used to make my husband and my son know their responsibility. That is, this is your responsibility and this is my responsibility, and we are all working to build a family. Similarly, at point when I know that I couldn't able to do the other responsibilities properly, I had a plan of increasing the resources working under me. I took a PhD scholars and UG students and PG students. I formed a big team. So if I cannot able to be a good resource, working resource, I could be a proper administrator. So I started administrating people. So that is how I'm managing. And then most importantly, whenever you feel stuck, then you have to motivate yourself. You have to motivate yourself. And as she rightly pointed out, I enjoy my work actually. Without doing research, one day I don't feel complete because research makes me complete. That is what I used to feel. So actually, that is how I'm actually managing the difficulties. There are so many things. Then I'm prioritize your work and then make others understand their roles and responsibilities properly. And if you can't be the proper working resource, you please better be a proper administrator so that your work will be done properly. Thank you.
That's really good one. Means prioritizing our work will definitely reduce our stress. I would like to know from you again that what are the some early sign of stress um, that people should look out for?
You will definitely feel sleepless nights first. Definitely. You won't sleep at all. And then your concentration power will be decreased. And that fear and pressure will do one thing for you for sure. It will reduce your 100 percentage potential into 50 percentage, that's all. It will keep you, that is the first sign you can feel. You cannot concentrate, you'll never have a proper sleep, and you cannot able to communicate with other people with confidence. So these are all the signs actually. You cannot cope up with the other people, you cannot mingle with other network, you cannot have a network, and you'll be frustrated and you'll be, you, if you, you don't, you will never have a proper social network. So these are all the signs actually. When you feel this kind of sign, then you have to be very careful that you are under pressure, frustration. Thank you.
As Shobha mentioned that we have to look for the sign, means like not able to sleep properly. So we need to take help on this so that we can manage stress in a very early stage. Coming to Kelly. Kelly, being a lead hyperspectral scientist, you need to have continuous support in case of scientific or technical support you need to have. So this type of constant support in different fields is really a challenge for many professionals. How you manage those things?
So I think one of the really wonderful things about working in industry is that a lot of that is built in because we have different teams that focus on different parts of solving a single problem. So on the mission that I work on, I get to work with 50 to 100 very talented people who are really good at what they do. And that lets me have the trust to just be good at what I do. I don't need to do everything. I can focus on the part that's my job, that's my responsibility, and I can lean on and count on the other folks who are on those teams to do their job really well too. And when you have that level of trust and you're all working towards the same outcome, it relieves a lot of the stress of helping a project be successful.
That's really good. And how do you set boundaries while coming to expectation? Um,
Yeah, it can be very difficult to set boundaries, and I usually think of it more as setting expectations. Boundaries oftentimes feels like you're saying no, and what you want to be able to do is only say yes sometimes. So you want to be able for people to know what they can expect from you. So let's say it's a very stressful time. I need to be able to communicate that you can expect less from me during a very stressful time because I don't have as much mental power and energy. I'm not going to be performing at the level I expect and the level maybe some of my colleagues expect. And we all go through these times. And sometimes it's very important to allow other people to be there for you. And that can be hard because I think we always are ready to be there for the people we care about, but sometimes we have to let those people be there for us.
Yes. Asking for help is the best way to reduce bad, means to put boundaries. That's really good one. Coming to
Actually, this is my advice, personal advice. Do not always work for the deadline. Don't work for the deadline because there is no time called deadline. Other than the God decide, that is the deadline for us. So don't work for the deadline at all, please. Do your work based on your capability, just do your work and just make them understand, make your superior or other person understand that this work requires this much amount. So make them understand. So do not work for the deadline. Because based on my personal experience, I'm telling you, when at the time my son born, myself and my husband decided, at the hospital itself we decided, that at night we go to the bed. At the bed, we need to spend at least half an hour time, make sure every day my son should laugh and sleep. For any content, he should laugh and sleep, go to sleep. So we are still practicing that. In order to reduce the stress pressure, we go to the bed and spend half an hour time there. We make our son laugh, and then we go to sleep. Similar practice I'm having in my professional life. I make my students at least half an hour to laugh at a laboratory and then work. So they are very happy. They are very comfortable in my laboratory. Yeah.
really good to know. So it's really good if we are giving some time for lab, for enjoyment. That's really good. That will definitely help to reduce our stress. And coming to Feroz. As you know, achieving healthy work-life balance is particularly very much difficult when it comes to researchers. And since you are a research scientist, and you might have often pressure of publishing papers, scientific research you have to do continuously. So I would like to know what practical strategy do you use to manage stress?
Yeah, so it can happen that I have a lot of things to do, like my projects, research papers, and all the teaching things. So what I always do is that I set priorities. So I start with the things that I need to finish at a specific time, so they are the highest priority deadlines, and then work on the other things. So just balancing what you need to do and also take care of your well-being at the same time. So you should not like focus a lot on things that stress you. So just try to find a balance between everything.
Could you share an example how you apply one of these strategy in your life? Could you please share an example how you apply in your life?
Yeah, so like for example, I have many hobbies. So at my free time, I do dancing, I sing, and play piano, which can help me a lot in my research and so on. So I totally switched off everything, and then I go do something else. And then when I'm totally refreshed and I can focus, I can feel that I can focus on some technical things, I go back to my office and do those things or at home. So you need to do something other than just working, for sure.
So it means if we have some preferences of music or something, then we can enjoy those stretch time with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to hear from Sobha on this also, your views on this.
The strategy I
I mean,
use
so
to
what
reduce the stress.
example of how you manage stress? As you have told earlier,
Yeah.
that one example you have given that you should give some time for laugh.
Exactly.
Similarly, any other example you would like to provide, will be very happy to know.
Okay, strategy I use,
Yes,
example.
yes.
Okay. So as just now I told, like, we perceive everything, any difficult situation arise, we used to perceive in a very humor sense. Oh, that is what happened. Okay, that is fine. So we used to, as my students are sitting here, we used to, we never take that in a serious mode. Whatever happened, if the superior scold or tantrum at us, we never take it in a serious way. I used to instruct my students, please, whatever happens, don't be serious. Take it in a comedy sense, then everything will be fine. At least you have to make up your mind that nothing happened. Mind, no, our mind will believe whatever we say. We have to make it in that such a way that it will believe like nothing happened. It's just some simple matter. So in somehow we need to train our mind. That can be done when we perceive that matter in a very comedy sense, humor sense, humor sense. If you have enough humor sense, then the work pressure will definitely will not, never affect you.
That's really good one. Coming to Tripura, madam. Currently serving as chair of IEEE Industrial Electronics Society, chapter at IEEE Hyderabad section. As you know, work-life balance can look very different at different stages of life. So we'd like to know, how do you think balance changes as we move through stages like early career, parenthood, mid-career? I would like to hear from you, madam.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to one and all. So, I'd like to say that it will be different anyway. It's like not a single goal in life. Always it will be changing. Change is inevitable in life. Based on the requirement at that time, we need to plan. So, my life, I started my career at the age of 21, even before completing my master's. And after that, marriage, and then I did my master's. And after that, kids. I have two girls. And after that, I did my PhD. This is how it went on. Like I have 20 years of teaching experience. So during my early career, generally anyone, I believe that they'll try to prove themselves. At that time, the requirements are different, challenges will be different. So all the way we try to prove ourselves in whatever things we try to do at job. And during marriage, that will be different. I mean, after marriage, it will be different. Like we'll try to learn the responsibilities, like as we don't know that till that time. And after I had kids, that will be a different thing. For anybody, it will happen in the same way. I believe that more or less, much difference won't be there. So balancing family life and career, that becomes a big challenge when the kids are young. We need to manage that. And anyway, after that, research, and many talked about research now. I think I don't need to mention what are the challenges we face during research phase in life. So one thing is, depending on the requirement at that time and the challenges, what we come across, we need to plan that. So whether it is mental balance or work-life balance, so it's not a personal thing or a priority. We should have that to have long-run success or to have happiness in life. That's what I believe. And as everyone is saying, we have to enjoy that. Only if we love, we do that in a very bigger way. We have to bring best out of ourselves, first of all. That's what we have to try. That's what I believe. I think I have answered my...
Yes, yes, madam. That's really good. Actually, you should enjoy different stages of life.
Yes.
As we have seen, stress is different at different phases of life. What you will say on that? How stress is different at different stages and how to manage that?
Stress, at young age, it won't be that difficult to manage stress. Only the problems start when we grow older. Yes.
What are the challenges we
So why?
face?
Because even the body will not support that. That's the problem. But in spite of all these challenges, we should try to balance everything.
That's true.
Yes.
At different phases of life, we have seen we come across different kind of challenges.
Yes.
As you have already mentioned, before marriage it was different, and after marriage it was different. You have continued your studies after marriage also. How was your experience on that?
After marriage, I got a very supportive husband. I am very fortunate to have that.
That's true.
Anyway, we should have a very good support. After marriage, the story will be different, as everyone know. We should have either parents or friends or a husband, whatever it is better have. They should be supportive. Like we can take help from them. Otherwise, I think it will become very stressful and very difficult to manage everything on our own. And for a person like me, what my husband say about me is, I would like to grab everything to me, like not one. And even somebody is mentioning about hobbies. Do you know how many hobbies I have? It's not one in number, like dance or music. I enjoy a lot of fine artworks. I'd like to spend more time on them also. Like now, I don't find time, but that's a very good idea.
Nice, madam. Good to know. Actually, whenever we are in different phases of life, we get different challenges. At that time, we should ask for help. That is what, according to Madam Tripura Madam, that we should ask. We should not gather all problem to ourselves only. We should distribute our problem to everyone. So our means together should solve the problem to lessen the stress. Okay. Coming to Kili. How do work culture and industry norm affects our approach to work-life balance? We'd like to know from you.
Can you say again?
Sure. How do work culture and industry norms affect our approach to work-life balance?
They're very important. So you tend to build your life and your patterns of activity around the people that you work with. And so, for example, if you work in a place where no one ever takes vacation time, you might feel really strange asking to take vacation time. If you work in a place where everyone is busy on Saturday and Sunday, then you might feel pressure to work every weekend or to work every day. So the hard thing is that you don't always get to choose what the norms are in the place that you work. And so what you have to be able to do is adapt. And I think when we think about work-life balance, this is where the balance comes in. Maybe you have to work some weekends, but you take some time late in the afternoon during a weekday when your brain isn't at its top performance, and you go for a long walk or you do something else you enjoy. So you have to be willing to work in the system that you're part of, and if it's really bad, work to change the system that you're part of. In a lot of companies, we have things called employee resource groups. And so these are opportunities for people who have similar challenges or similar desires to help make the company culture better. They have that opportunity to gather together and say, hey, we think that maybe we need more vacation time, or we don't notice anyone at the very senior leadership level takes vacation, and that makes us feel like maybe we shouldn't take vacation. And so it becomes that the company culture is something that everyone builds and contributes to. And the hardest part of this is when you become part of management, when you become a senior leader. You need to think about how you affect the people who work for you, or the more junior people who are part of your lab or part of your company or part of your team, because they look to you for the example. And maybe you love working every weekend, but now all of them feel like they can't take some time off. So you really have to be aware of how that changes depending on where you are in your organization too.
Being from industry, you might have some experience, like how industry norms affect personal well-being. So I would like to know from you that one also.
It varies a lot depending on the type of industry that you're in. Both agriculture and space technologies still are very dominated by males. And it can be challenging, not just to find a good position, but also to make sure that your voice is heard. And this isn't like anyone, no one's trying to be mean or not helpful. It's just that you're not used to seeing those people at the table. And so when you start to show up at the table, it's really important for you to make certain that your voice gets heard, which doesn't always mean being the loudest or being very assertive, but it means to be true to yourself and to speak up and to share the things that you're good at and the things that you bring to that table. And oftentimes, that norm shifts out of these smaller actions than out of very large changes, because people get used to working with you, then they get used to working with more women, and then eventually the entire norm itself changes. So it's a slow process, but it's a process that everyone can be part of. So if you are a woman, you have to speak up, you have to challenge yourself to be present. And if you're a man, listen for the times when your colleagues aren't getting heard, and be willing to say, hey, Ferouz was saying something, I'd like to hear what she has to say. Or ask a question again. If you notice that anyone at the table is completely quiet, be willing to say, what do you think? And invite people into that conversation.
That's really good one, good advice. Actually, you should ask for, we should get noticed. That is how we can manage that one. Please, Matt, say your views.
Is one last point I wish to say. So actually, always remember that we are living in a very highly dynamic environment where a mosquito can take a life of a human. And talking about dengue, it can be accepted if someone died attacked by lion, but mosquito can take a life of a human. That is, yeah, we are living in such a highly dynamic environment. After COVID and all, we had a lot of heart attacks at the young age. So if you are not there, you will be definitely replaced by someone else in your professional environment. But then for your family, it cannot be replaced. So always handle your pressure in a right way so that your productivity will be definitely increased, both in family and professional life. Thank you.
That's so nice. Next is for Feroz. What advice would you like to give to leaders who want to create a culture that prioritizes mental health and balance?
Oh, that's a good point. So I know leaders play a huge role in this kind of topic. So they set the suitable environment for their employees, and they need to be flexible as much as possible to listen to their employees and try to be a source of trust, so that employees, if they have some problems, they are struggling on something, they go to their boss to talk to them. So it's not like a difficult relationship, so it's more relaxed, and they can go to talk, they can have like meetings, check meetings every month, and also so it's not about policy. So it's they should set a mindset in the whole group, and they should be a source of inspiration for all other employees. So, like for example, they can organize some team building sessions with the whole team so that they talk about things other than technical things. So like going for dinner together, or like having casual conversations.
That's really a good idea. Means actually the employer should follow certain things so that employee can enjoy their workplace. To wrap up, I'd like to hear from Sobha madam. What one piece of advice that you would give to someone trying to achieve a better work-life balance while prioritizing their mental health?
Repeat the question, please.
That advice you will like to give to achieve a better work-life balance while prioritizing their mental well-being.
Okay, so only one answer to this question. As ma'am rightly pointed out, enjoy your work. That's all. Love your work. That will make everything easy. Love your work, enjoy your work. That's all.
That's really interesting. Means enjoying work can definitely reduce our stress, and it can definitely impact, or it will give a balance to our personal and professional growth. And this is the end of the session. I would like to hear question from the audience. Any question I would like to ask to our panelists?
Yes, so this is a generalized question actually. Uh, Recently, I went to a conference and I actually faced this reality. I'm pursuing electronics engineering. So, we actually focus a lot on theory. So, when I met the industry experts and asked them, like, what's actually going on in the field? And they were like, it's like not what you expect. Like when you come to the field, you have to realize that you're not supposed to be good at the theory. You're supposed to be good at being adaptive and learning new things. So what are some things in research specifically that when you get in the field, you realize that, oh, research is not just about, working more and more and more. It's about learning this thing. Or are there specifically anything that is not what you expected when you got into research?
Almost everything. So when I moved from academia and study and doing research mostly to publish papers, develop new algorithms, the biggest surprise to me, actually two big surprises. One was that I thought when I left academia, I wouldn't be working with the best and brightest minds anymore. And that's totally not true. I work with incredibly smart people who work very, very hard and know worlds about things that I'm still learning. The other thing was just how difficult it is to take that knowledge and make it valuable in practice. When we're researching, we usually have a lot of assumptions and limitations, and we write it into a paragraph. Like, I made these assumptions, I face these limitations, and one day when all these problems are solved, my research will be usable. But that doesn't matter, it's not usable now, and in industry you need it to be usable now. And so the skill that I recommend, the skill that is really critical to be able to take from research when you're learning and practicing into an industry role, is how to adapt it to solve the problem at hand. How do you take those same skills, problem solving, breaking things into steps, asking the right questions, understanding the limitations, and switch those into something that is very active and happening right in front of you?
That's my question, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone like to say anything?
See, you're doing your UG, right? Undergraduation. So it is very important to get the fundamental knowledge in undergraduation. Fundamental knowledge is very essential, especially when you're planning for a research. Having fundamental knowledge is very essential because without fundamental knowledge, probably you probably are capable of doing magic, but that magic will get saturated at one point of time. Your growth will not be exponentially growing. With fundamental knowledge only, your growth will be exponential. So in undergraduation, you have to get strong in fundamental knowledge because there are three levels of education: undergraduation, post-graduation, and PhD. So in undergraduation, you will all address one question: what? And in post-graduation, how? And in PhD, why? So when you ask that question, why, your mind should be fundamentally strong. Your mind should be strong in fundamental knowledge.
Thank you, Kili, Shobha, Feroz, Raisha, and Tripura for sharing your views on this work-life balance, the perspectives and strategies to handle stress. I hope all of the audience must have gained from this women panel discussion how to manage stress, particularly when you are a woman and you are working, how to manage stress and simultaneously progress in your professional career also. Hope you have learned something how to manage this, how to evolve in your career through managing stress. Once again, huge thanks to our panelists who have given time to come over here and be with us. Thank you all the audience for your patience hearing. Thank you all.
Thank you to all our panelists for their valuable contributions and engaging discussions on such an important topic. Your insights on work-life balance and mental health are greatly appreciated. Now I request Dr. Sri Lakshmi to felicitate Dr. Shubhangini and Dr. Tripura.
I'm excited to present our insightful discussion on internship opportunities in space-related centers. This session will be moderated by Dr. Mosmia Cherosia, a respected professor in the Computer Science Department of KL University, and a dedicated mentor to our student branch. Joining her are esteemed panelists Dr. Mihai Datku from DLR Germany, Dr. Keely Roth from Planet Labs USA, Dr. Feroz Chamboli from DLR Germany, and Dr. Avik Bhattacharya from IIT Bombay. I invite Dr. Mosmi Ajay and the panelists to the stage to share their insights and experiences regarding internship opportunities in the exciting field of space-related research.
There's a small change in the moderation. It will be more appropriate if from the space industry, someone should moderate the space industry. So I invite Dr. Vijender Bhushi Reddy from ADREN ISRO. He'll be the most apt person to moderate the session.
Thank you, Mosa madam. So, very good afternoon to all. Welcome to Dr. Mihai, Dr. Ravi, and Dr. Keely, Dr. Firoz, for this panel discussion on internship opportunities in space industry. So, on a lighter note, before starting the panel discussion, I want to say a few words. Just now, Dr. Shobha said that you should not work for the deadline, but that is only for the working professionals, not for the students, I think, right? So because students have to complete the assignments on or before deadline, complete the subject on or before exam schedule. So otherwise their career will be in problem. So 20 years back, there is no concept called of internship. When we studied around 2002, 2003, hardly means where some who are studying in urban areas, 1 or 2 students, they will get internship. But nowadays, if you see so many industries, private industries, as well as government organizations offering internships to the students. So in this aspect, Dr. Avik's, why are the internships are important for the students? And what benefits or takeaways to the students from these internships?
Thank you and good afternoon. Yes, I think, yes, internships are important, of course, in the sense that students, when they learn in the classrooms, the academics part of it, to translate into real world problem, internship plays a very important role in that aspect. The other thing is that to the students I have mostly seen or I have mostly dealt with every day, they don't have certain skills. Skills in the sense of professional skills of, let's say, communication. They are unable to communicate both orally and in written form their ideas. This is what also the internship helps them a lot. They get more encouragement in the sense that what they are doing is something very important and it is for a real life applications. That's what I think internship teaches you. The other aspects is that when they go out from classroom studies and from a university or institute to doing internship in companies or in research institute or national labs and all, they get a flavor of the employability, like in what kind of sectors, what they're learning, be it is in sciences or in engineering, where this science and technology will be useful once they graduate. So I think this is very important aspect for them. But at the same time, they should also understand that, as some panelists in the previous discussion rightly mentioned, that the fundamental knowledge, what they are learning as a part of academics, plays a very important role. So they should not be neglecting that part of it. And at the same time, they should take advantage of this internship to gain more knowledge in terms of applying them, but also get the professional benefit which comes along with that. So in that sense, to summarize it, yes, it is very, very useful. And as you have rightly mentioned, internship was not there maybe at my time when I was doing my graduation. It was fairly there, but it was not so important. So we thought, what is this thing internship is? Let us not do it and concentrate on what we are doing. But nowadays, it has become very important in this competitive scenario. So that's why I feel it's very important.
Yeah, thank you, Avi. As rightly said, there is a difference between theory and practicals. So real-time experience is must and should before completing your undergraduation. For example, you take diode itself, the avalanche breakdown of diode, theory, you have a different graph, and practical, if you apply, it will become as a different graph. So it's must and should to do internship before completion of the undergraduation. So if you take, this is a general way of doing, but if you come into the space industry, so since Keely is from the DLR, so what technical skills are required for undergraduates before joining internships in the space industry, and what basic knowledge they should have?
I think there are a number of core skills if you're looking to take the technical knowledge that you're learning in undergraduate out into industry. One of them is resilience. You're going to fail a lot, you're going to struggle a lot, and you need to be able to keep your spirits up and keep your mind strong and say, that's okay. That's okay that it's hard. It being hard doesn't mean you aren't good at it. It just means that it's hard. And so you need to be able to be resilient. You also shouldn't neglect some of the skills that Avik mentioned. How to verbally communicate, how to be a good team member. That one's really important. I mentioned in the previous panel, everyone wants to work with a good team. You want them to be intelligent, you want them to be skilled, and you want them to be people that you spend a lot of time with and enjoy working on these problems with. And so it's worth spending time thinking about, how am I going to be a good team member? How am I going to show up and care for the rest of my team? And probably something that's still very, very valuable is learning to program, learning a programming language, learning something beyond just a graphic user interface for processing data. Almost all industry positions, even if they're not a software developer position, require you to interact with and work with code in some language. For my company, it's Python. For a lot of companies that work in Earth observation and space, Python is very frequently used, sometimes R, less so MATLAB, but really just learning good basic foundational programming skills is what you need at the undergraduate level. You'll have the opportunity to learn new languages as they're relevant for the work you're doing. What you really need is that basic skill set of how do I write a good computer program.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to add something? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to add also the willingness to learn new things very fast. So this is really important for internships as students. So when you go talk to hiring managers, for example, you should show that you can learn things very fast. So you should not know anything beforehand. So you learn there what you are expected to do. So be ready to show that you are willing to learn, to experience things, to try different things, and then do the right job that they are going to ask you to.
Yeah, in summary means there is no specialization required for internship in space industry.
Yeah,
So if you have any basic knowledge or anything, they can do internship. That's what.
Yeah, just the basics are okay.
So, well, in IEEE, if you come to after education, you will become like a young professionals, right? In IEEE. So, for young professionals, any career in space industry, any career opportunities will be there for early YPs or anything during these internships, kind of a thing. Do you have anything that? No, for young professionals, same way any internships can be offered from the space industry.
Yeah, so it depends a lot on the organization and on the country. So sometimes it can be some restrictions on some specific countries because of security problems. But I can say there are a lot of programs for internships worldwide. So even NASA, ESA, or DLR have a lot of programs running for accepting international students to come for internships, and also many companies. And I can give an advice, so don't wait for job openings in internships. Just try to contact people directly and tell them, hey, I'm interested in doing an internship. I like the field that you are doing, and I like the work that you have been doing in this company and in this group, and try to search for things yourself. So that's what I recommend.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, similarly, like in India also, ISRO provides the internships to the all undergraduates and postgraduates, even for PhD student research scholars also, where like it's not only computer science, we have mechanical, electronics, and computer science. All these streams we have internships, and where people can come and do, students can come and do internships. But the only thing is we will not provide any stipend for that, so they have to come and do the work freely for us. Like that, sir, Dr. Mihai. Similarly, in DLR, do you have any opportunities for internships for students?
Thank you. Yes, if you allow me, I will broaden the answer. So actually, there are many opportunities. Of course, DLR has many opportunities. So everyone could follow the openings which are published on the website. So everyone could follow the opening which are published on the website. There are many openings in European universities and industry, research institutions. There are PhD positions which are opened. And it's very important to go with a very good recommendation. And one of the best recommendations for someone applying for such a position is to already have a good paper published. So when you apply, in your CV appears one paper in IEEE letters or transaction geoscience, JSTAR, or signal processing could be PAMI, any good publication. Should not be necessarily IEEE, we're in the IEEE club here, but could be any other good publication. That would be really very important. Many of the positions, they require to have theoretical background. So it's very much appreciated to be fluent in Python, to know about tools, deep learning, and development environments. But it's extremely appreciated to have a strong background in mathematics, statistics, physics, chemistry. So very basic things. So computation, compute an integral on paper, compute a Fourier transform on paper. So these are things which are extremely well appreciated, and people are looking for this. So these are. There are other opportunities which could come via international cooperation in between your teams and other teams in Europe. An example, it is the European Commission, Marie Sokolska-Curie programs. There are two types of programs, one for PhDs, and in these programs there are a position for PhDs which are coming from abroad, from everywhere from abroad. They must not be from the country where the applicant it is. And these are very stimulative position, and generally they are very good projects. So follow Marie Curie, Sokolska, and you can find very interesting position. At the level of postdoc, Marie Sokolska-Curie also it's opening calls. There is a call, if I'm not sure, I think it's in February. If your group, yourself, you have contacts with academic institution in Europe, you can elaborate together a proposal, and if proposal is accepted, the postdoc obtains a 2-year or 3-year position. Again, very high level in technology, very stimulative programs, which are opening perspective of career extremely broad. European Space Agency has a program involving PhDs and postdocs from all around the world. Of course, as you mentioned, sometimes it might be restriction, but many times if the candidate proves to be a good candidate, I mean, theoretical background, motivation, knowledge, and demonstration already, I mean, this visit card, a good paper published, that could be another opportunity. And similar opportunities are other continents, not only in
with good papers and good research temperament, whoever have, so they will get the opportunities for the internship in the DLR. So that's what you want to say. Yes.
Yes, that could be
Thank you.
points.
Thank you. Dr. Keeley, you are working in, sometimes you work in NASA and now you are working in Planet Labs. So what are the internship opportunities in these organizations for the students?
So a lot of the space companies, whether they're building satellites or operating satellites or even working downstream like data analytics or software platforms, have a lot of opportunities for internships and internships at different points in your career. So there are some internships that are very appropriate to apply for while you're still an undergraduate. These are usually summer internships. During your graduate studies, companies will typically offer potential for longer internships, some 6 months, some up to a few years. And it really depends a lot on the company and also the program. So there are direct internships. So Planet's intern program is a good example of this, where we put out a call and say on our job listings, we have an internship open for this part of the company working on this type of problem, and it's 12 weeks in the summer. We also have interns that come through partnership programs. So maybe a university or a government organization will co-sponsor a longer internship, and someone will come and Planet will pay for part of that internship, and the co-sponsor entity will pay for the other part of it. And these are usually very nice because they normally allow you to combine your graduate studies with the internship experience that you have. The direct internship programs are usually very specific and allow you to build a specific skill set in a short amount of time. But normally you don't bring your own ideas or your own research to those particular opportunities. And there are a number of ways to learn about these opportunities. I agree with Ferouz. If you reach out to people on LinkedIn or know people who are working for a company that you're excited about the type of work they do, you really should reach out and ask if they have opportunities. Not all announcements get distributed very widely, and so you may find they actually have openings when you reach out. If they don't, they can usually connect you to a company. Normally, if we don't have internships open at Planet and someone reaches out, I might say, hey, I think this other company is opening their internship program in a month. I recommend you reach out to and give a name, give someone that you can reach out to at that company. So it really is part of building your network as well.
Yeah, thank you. But same situation arose to me also. So a few years back, my PhD guide has given one student to me to give some research problem. So I have given a research problem. So after 2 months, he left. Means no communication, nothing. So when I asked my guide, he told that he got internship in some other company, private organization. This house is a government organization, so we don't give any stipend. So he got some private organization, so he went there. So there is a, because since this is already submitted in his college for the project, so there is a balancing between the work and this one, he got some problem there. So I asked Dr. Avik sir, please throw some light on this. Many private organizations give internship to the students during their final year, first semester, before completing their work, their degree. So, people, students also joining in that company and actively participating in their work and doing work day and night like regular employees. So does that impact their logical thinking and way of handle their life in their career?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, so yeah, I have some points regarding this. So as I mentioned, in my previous one, I mentioned about the advantages, the pros of internship. The cons of, I think there are more. So what I see is that I'll give you some examples basically. See, I see that when I come from IIT, I see there are many undergraduates and also maybe some master students. When they go for this kind of internships to mostly industries, and they have this, they are so much pressed with time that they don't have time to do actually their work, which is most important for them to learn the theory part of it. So I mostly see them doing the work of the internship rather than doing the actual work which will fetch them the degree, which is, I think, not the right approach of doing it, because it's a demand because they think this will fetch them the job, which is not the correct approach. So it's the time, the pressing is one of the big problem. The other thing which I see, which is very funny actually, is that as also Kili mentioned, is that most of the students, the undergraduates from IITs, and also I see this is from a personal experience, they go to an industry and work for the summer months or something. When they come back, they think they are specialized in something. So they think themselves to be specialized in AI, ML. Now, this is absolutely not true because they have learned maybe to do little bit good programming in Python, which is not the theory part of AI ML. So what happens is that I get some external students sometimes when they come after their masters to do PhD, and sometimes I am wrongly placed in a panel which is for AI ML, since I do not do AI ML, but I'm wrongly placed. And that's a disaster for the students, because from the panel side, I am requested to ask a few questions. And since I do not do AI/ML, my questions are mathematics. And they really hate me, because they think that they already know AI/ML, so there is no point in learning mathematics. So this is a danger, basically, because they have not done the fundamentals properly, correctly. So I think internships should be done, of course, but it should be done in such a way, as I mentioned, that it only gives them an overview or a highlight into what is done when you translate some academics into a research problem. This is enough to understand it, but without going into the depth of the subject, wrongly thinking that you have mastered something and already become an expert just doing an internship is quite dangerous. The other thing also, in terms of, I think internship mostly in India, what I say is that, not in all internships are equally good. Some of the internships are, I would say, not good at all, so they should not be done. But what students, all the students may not get good internship, because there's not enough internships. So they have to choose, and they should consult with their advisors or professors, whoever they are, to actually find out what is a good internship for them. Sometimes they don't care and they don't consult and they join, and then when they come back, they have wasted their time basically over there. And also in terms of financial, because all of them are not well paid basically. So, you have to think about in both the ways. It should be kind of well paid because of the money. So I think all of these should be all thought about, because internship should be taken in a way that, as I mentioned, it's just a preview of what you would get after you complete your degrees. It is not that it will make you a master, which people mostly I have seen think wrongly. So I think that should be taken with very care, because when I'm put in an interview panel, I see the reality, which is not a very good scene to see. But that's what is the situation mostly today. So I think that internship, although should be done, very important. But as I should mention that, as also Kili mentioned, is at what point of time, you are doing an internship at the bachelor's level, should be in a different mindset. When you're doing in a master's, it's a different, PhD also internships are there, that's a totally a different ballgame altogether. So all these hierarchies should be thought very precisely. and of course with a guidance with your supervisors or whoever your course instructor or faculty advisors and so on should be taken in that way. Otherwise, you can and you surely will make mistakes in choosing the right.
Yes, sir. Actually, there is a difference between the academics and industry work, because industry work is like a focused and outcome based, whereas academics is not like that. You have to learn, so doing something. So it's like a just add-on kind of thing. It's not just a replacement of their knowledge or anything. So they should have like whatever they learned, they should have see how in real time it works. It's the only thing for the internship.
This is true, because the same thing that as when they come back from an internship and when they appear for their final year thesis or something, and that is a part of their thesis, so what they show is an output of a code which does fantastic job in some deep learning programming. That's fine. But when I ask them that, do it with your pen and paper. And for them, this doesn't exist, because this was not a part of the thing, because it cannot be done with a pen and pencil, because it has to be done with a Python program kind of thing. So that's what it is taught kind of thing. So these kind of things should be very clear. But the last point is that the academics part of it, the fundamental point should be very thorough before you go on to do internship or beyond that, whatever you want to do. So that's very important.
Thank you, sir. So the final point question is like internship opportunities in industry. So we have 3 countries, India and ESA and NASA. So we all have. So the last question is whether the internship opportunities for the international students are only host countries, whichever the company has. First, I will ask Dr. Feroz from DLR. So whether opportunities will be outside your European countries, or it's only for the European country students?
Yeah, so I will take the example of GLR. So we have internship programs open for international students. So it's open for everyone, yeah. So for other things other than internships, it may be some restrictions, but for internships and PhDs, in general, it's very open. We are always welcoming students, and we also have scholarship programs as well with the German government.
Yeah, but in our ISRO, we have only Indian students only. We don't take the foreign international students for the internships, because there is some restrictions in that, whatever you said. So similarly in NASA, and how it will be, whether they will allow international students or it's only for the host country?
Yeah, so in most of the companies that I've worked for, and for Planet now, it depends on what you're working on. So if you are working on something in Planet, let's say, that is a specific type of hardware for a satellite, there may be restrictions on the background or citizenship of who can be eligible to work with that data. And this is true even for people who work full-time at the company. We have different levels of clearance for different parts of each program. But most of our internship programs really just require that you're able to get a student visa or a work visa that is kind of the similar way that everyone applies to have access to a company or a university in the US.
Okay, thank you. With this is concluding the panel discussion. I thank Keely, Dr. Keely and Dr. Feroz and Dr. Mihai, Dr. Avik Bhattacharya for giving me insights on this panel discussion on internship, especially for the space industry. And thank you all the participant students for active listening without doing any discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our panelists for sharing your knowledge and experiences in this important discussion. Your insights are invaluable to our participants seeking opportunities in the field. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
I request Rajesh Tiwari sir to felicitate Vijender Reddy.
Now I'm honored to invite Dr. Avik Bhattacharya from IIT Bombay to the stage for our session on membership benefits.
वीडियो है ऑडियो भी चाहिए सर ऑडियो चाहिए है और कोई रहेगा नहीं उसके बाद सब चले जाएंगे 5 मिनट में खत्म नहीं the first slide was actually the video of DRSS तो वो अलग से है चला जाना DRSS membership DRSS this is third one. ये उसके ऊपर वाला